Hello everybody and welcome to day 13 of preparation for Marian consecration. We are over a third away through this book now by Michael Gately. I don't know about you, I'm really starting to feel something. Today I went to a waterfall and have an image of many images of Mary in my home, but I saw one of the images in the waterfall as it was flowing down, which for me is Mary letting me know that she's with me. It was super beautiful. Today we're going to be looking at to be an instrument, rather to be instruments. Reminds me of the St. Francis of Assisi prayer, make me a channel of your peace. Love that prayer. So, again, St. Maximilian didn't just want to Again, St. Maximilian didn't just want to ask for graces from the Immaculata. He wanted to be the graces of the Immaculata. He didn't just want to do the will of the Immaculata. He wanted to be the will of the Immaculata. Wait, be the graces and the will of the Immaculata? Isn't this asking a bit too much? Not according to Kolbe's reasoning. He figured, well, if people can give themselves over to Satan to be possessed by him and be his instruments of evil, why can't people give themselves over to God and be possessed by him and be his instruments of love? He further reasoned that more than anyone, the Immaculata is possessed by the Holy Spirit. So why not ask to be possessed by her so as to be perfectly united to God's will? In other words, it wasn't enough for him to just be Mary's slave, as St. Louis de Montfort often put it. He wanted something deeper. He wanted to be an instrument in the hands of the Immaculata. So do I. To be an instrument in the hands of the Immaculata, this is the central idea to Kolbe's whole vision of Marian consecration. Thus, he writes it directly into his prayer of consecration. Let me be a fit instrument into your immaculate and merciful hands. To what purpose? The conversion of the entire world. Come on, Kolbe is getting a little carried away, right? I mean, what can one do? But this gets to his main point, his master strategy. His own peace wasn't the only part of his master plan. In fact, he wanted to raise up a whole army of fighting knights and soldiers who'd give themselves to be instruments in the grace-filled hands of the Immaculata. He wanted to build a militia Immaculata, which he describes as follows. The Knights of the Immaculata seek to become ever more truly the property of the Immaculata, to belong to her in an ever more perfect way and under every aspect without any exception. They wish to develop their understanding of what it means to belong to her, so that they may enlighten, reinvigorate, and set on fire the souls living in their own environment, and make them similar to themselves. They desire to conquer these souls for the Immaculata, so in their turn they may belong to her without reserve, and may in this manner win an even greater number of souls to her. May win the entire world, in fact, and to do so in the shortest possible time. What genius! Notice the brilliant logic that undergirds Kolbe's whole strategy. If we really love God, we truly long to work for his kingdom, then we should find the quickest and easiest way to become saints and thereby return to him. Now, the quickest and easiest way to do this, as we learned from de Montfort, is through Marian consecration. Yet Kolbe takes it further. He didn't just stop himself. He didn't just stop with himself. He didn't keep the great saint-making secret to himself. Look at it this way. What's better, one saint or two? 1,000 saints or 1,000,000? Think of what 1,000,000 saints fully consecrated to Mary could do. Imagine if Mary had 1,000,000 instruments through whom she could fulfill the perfect will of God. It's an amazing thought. So Kolbe exclaims, teach others this way. Conquer more souls for the Immaculata. If this is the quickest, easiest way to become a saint, then it's also the quickest, easiest way to conquer the whole world for Christ, if we only teach others about it. So Kolbe says, let's get to work. Let's Yes, let's begin by learning to live this consecration ourselves and then bring others to it. Okay, first things first. We need to learn to live this consecration to the Immaculata. We need to belong to her in an even more perfect way. How do we do this? Simple. We learn to love the Immaculata. How? By relying on her powerful intercession, experiencing her tender care, speaking to her from our hearts, letting ourselves be led by her, having recourse to her in all things, and trusting her completely. Yes, we should especially trust in the Immaculata and be happy in her. We should follow the example of Kobe, related to us by one of his religious brothers. When things were going well, we rejoiced with his heart. He rejoiced with all his heart with everyone, and fervently thanked the Immaculata for the graces received through her intercession. When things went badly, he was still happy and used to say, "Why should we be sad? Doesn't the Immaculata, our little mother, know everything that's going on?" Tomorrow we'll learn more about Kobe's form of consecration to our little mother. Today, let's end by reflecting on his words. My dear, dear brothers, our dear little mother, the Immaculate Mary, can do anything for us. We are her children. Turn to her. She will overcome everything. Today's prayer. Come, Holy Spirit, living in Mary. Prepare me to be a fit instrument in the hands of the Immaculata. Won't you say that with me? Come, Holy Spirit, living in Mary. Prepare me to be a fit instrument in the hands of the Immaculata. I'm reminded of a Marianne Williamson quote. It's quite famous, but I'll paraphrase it. It's that it's not our darkness we are afraid of, it's our light. It's that we are powerful beyond measure. If you've been watching since the beginning, you'll remember that I had a bit of a trigger towards the word saint. A bit of this feeling like, we can't be saints, that's not humble enough. And it's interesting to read this the night after the lunar eclipse, solar eclipse? It was a full moon. I'm not the best at these things. But last night was extremely powerful, energies moving. I'd also just done a liver cleanse, and I really felt all this sticky, deep, pulling in directions that I know don't serve me, but also kind of like I was under attack, like a psychic attack from darker entities. And I, wrote it out, and today I feel so much better and clearer. But when he talks about how people sign their lives over to be possessed by the devil, Satan, the darker side of humanity. However we see to fit to see it. I mean, it's all essentially all part of God, all part of ourselves. But those entities, those aspects that challenge the part of us that has desire to turn to God. And if that is happening, if you can be fully possessed by that, and I know, let's even stay in states of when people maybe go on binges of any type, whether it's food or sex or drugs, like wanting to lose themselves in something that's not true. Handing yourself over. And similarly, maybe the definition of being a saint is simply to hand yourself over to God in that same sense. I love the way of looking at it, of getting just possessed by God. And being at God's will. Being, albeit a merciless slave. Is that even correct? But just being, allowing my body to be fully used to serve. It's interesting that language I, at the beginning, found triggering, I now feel needed. Like I've become more aware of the darker entities which try and possess me. Especially through doing lots of fasting, actually. I can really sort of hear the voices of the parasites in my body calling out for me to, to stay fixed in a way that isn't as expansive as I can be without it. I can see the craving as something within me that's calling out, and I can see it as not me. And in some ways you feel so helpless to those cravings, and so used to responding to them, and they're so used to being responded to that they can really get very noisy when you don't. So imagine the flip side of that. Imagine your cravings being in a means that just shared love with everyone, in a means that was doing the work of the Holy Spirit, that I was allowing God to move through you always, that where you're fully connected to your inner God and acting as a total union. And the simplicity of following those cravings for God. It's a spell I'd happily be cast under. And to be honest, sometimes I really do feel that. My pull towards things doesn't necessarily come from the mind, it comes from the heart, and I don't need logic for things, and I move forward even when it doesn't make sense. Sometimes when I try and ignore that voice, which I would call within me God, I can't, because it's too noisy to ignore. The pull towards something is too clear, and the pain of not following it through can feel immense. But imagine if everyone was like that all of the time. We see how much destruction is happening in the external world, and I really feel the more people who are driven to become saints and honour that it's not egoic, it's not coming from a place of wanting to be the saint, but from an army of saints, just kind of one in a million saints. And together, imagine that capacity for light that can be held, and imagine how much more beautiful the world would be, living in a world where all united with God, we could be fully at rest and live as human beings are supposed to live. That's the kind of world I would love to live in. So, let's keep going. Let's keep spreading the word however feels right for you. And I often feel that's not necessarily by talking about these things, I'm not going around saying, hey everyone, this is what I'm doing. But more it's just demonstrating your connection to yourself and love for all in all that you do. I really feel that the best way we can serve is to just be ourselves and to express ourselves, and to live in harmony within as frequently as we can remember to. Until we are in total union, which hey guys, maybe in what we want to say, 13, maybe in 20 days we will be. Imagine how good that would feel. Okay, love you all.